I'm going to just step outside of CCDL again here. You may want to edit some of this out at some point. You know, I mean, we have a big, fat, bloated government of a bunch of bureaucrats and administrators that are constantly seeking new ways to make our lives, you know, less enjoyable and take away our liberties and our freedoms. And I personally, I mean, I've had enough of it. And yet we're stuck with it for the time being anyways. And sadly, there's a tremendous segment of our population that are perfectly fine with going along, with you know, accepting the status quo and either government handouts or whatever, which you know, make them dependent, and they have lost their free will at that point. So here we are, you know, here we are today.
And do you have an opinion on, I'll call it the kind of over-militarization of law enforcement?
Yes. Now, again, the CCDL, outside of CCDL, absolutely. You know, we, or I am really frightened with some of what I see going on. The government grants to, you know, Homeland Security grants to police departments, the local and state police, and then this paramilitary style training to raid people's houses for some of the most ridiculous things, when they could pinch somebody walking out their door, but they feel the need to kick the door down sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning and bring in the whole SWAT team. And they shot and killed a Marine in Arizona, which reading that story was just terrible when I read about that story. They could have, I mean, if they really thought that he did something wrong, they could have easily have just waited him out and spared his life. And then these raids, sometimes they go to the wrong house. There's a frightening number of bad addresses or coordinates or whatever they're using to go to some of these places, and it's just really frightening. It absolutely is. I tell you, I wish I long for the days of, you know, I mean, of course those were before my time, but when I see, you know, Mayberry on TV, you see Barney with one bullet, although I want a full magazine, you know, full unrestricted magazine. But I mean, they had the shotguns on the wall, and they weren't all locked up, and anybody could go in and into the police station, and Otis could go in and go to sleep it off or whatever. But you know, I long for a time where, you know, the police officers were really truly there to help you, and some of them are. Some of them really truly are. We have a lot of law enforcement members that, folks that are members of CCDL. Some of them are helping out, both retired and active, on our lawsuit in the filing of supportive briefs. So, yes, sir.
What do you think of the so-called zero tolerance weapons policies in schools, where you see kids suspended for ridiculous weapons charges like biting a Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun, which actually happened? The kid was suspended for 2 weeks in elementary school, and he got a permanent mark on his discipline record.
Yeah, I think it's terrible, because, you know, we're taking and we're trying to eradicate any free will when it comes to our creativity, when it comes to, you know, our First Amendment rights are fine. Everybody says they're for First Amendment rights unless you draw a picture of a firearm. You know, you can draw a picture of almost anything, but if you draw a picture of a gun or an explosion or a bomb, there was a kid suspended for a bomb the other day, and you know, there was pointing your finger or something at people, and it's absolutely insane. And the no weapons on school grounds things, people are trying to legislate utopia, where if we put up a sign that says no weapons, that we think somehow somebody that is intent on breaking the law and killing and harming and maiming and murdering a bunch of people are somehow, you know, that they're perfectly capable of doing all those horrific acts, but that somehow they're going to see the sign that they think is going to stop them from going in, and all of a sudden that sign's going to, oh, I can't break that law. I can go in and murder if it wasn't for that sign. It's just the mindset is beyond
Juvenile.
It's beyond description. So yes, again. No, please.
Okay. Has CCDL taken a stance, or do you foresee taking a stance on the issue of Common Core, the federalization of our education system? They're rewriting the textbooks, the publisher is Pearson, and in the textbooks for the Constitution, they're rewriting the Second Amendment for the kids, they've dumbed down the language of the Second Amendment and have basically changed it in the textbooks, and so now they're educating kids on a false sense of what the Second Amendment should be or what it was about?
Yeah, I read one of the text of one of those books where they essentially said that the Second Amendment gives Americans the right to own guns for the militia.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But at
yeah.
the same time, those very same people say, "You want to form a militia? What are you, crazy?"
Well, I think
You know, and then they throw out the Timothy McVeigh and the, I'm sorry, yes?
I think it claimed the National Guard as the militia.
Yeah, well, that too. yeah.
Even though the National Guard didn't exist until 1903 when they passed the Dick Act.
Sure.
I don't know how that happened. I mean, maybe they time traveled when they wrote the Constitution to 1904, and then, no, that didn't happen.
Yeah, we're certainly opposed to anybody altering what the written language of the Second Amendment or what the intent was. And that's why we have, our lawsuit is on a constitutionally based challenge as the Second Amendment was intended. We could have gone with, I don't really want to talk too much about the lawsuit, but we did look at Connecticut's Constitution, Article 1, Section 15, which I'm sure many here know. Every citizen has the right to bear arms in defense of himself and the state. But the lawyers actually chose to go based on the Second Amendment. And they hopped it all around, they mashed it all around, and they went with common use of firearms.